Namaskar and a very good afternoon to all of you. Welcome back to UPS School of Modern Media webinars. And after our successful sessions on fact sheet for a media school, and that's tomorrow starts now, and about future media classroom and newsroom, here comes the third edition of the UPS School of Modern Media Web Talks. And today we have two eminent personalities from the world of public relations, corporate communication, event management, who are going to talk at length about the current state of the industry as also the future. We are going to have a great, session with both of them. Friends, as you are all aware, the UPS School of Modern Media is going to set benchmarks in media education, from journalism to corporate communication to digital marketing. We have different courses. I would suggest, strongly recommend that you join us. You visit our website, go to the School of Modern Media, and we have a very eminent advisory board. We have a very eminent board of studies, and we have the best of course curricula with us. And you would be really delighted to know that some of the, what you call the stalwarts of the industry, the who is who of the industry, are part of this initiative. And you would get to learn from the masters themselves. So today, the topic is public relation in the digital age. Well, there's an old saying, advertising is what you pay for, and publicity is what you pray for. Now, what is public relation? Public relation is essentially a deliberate, planned, conscious effort. It's a professional maintenance of a favorable public image by a company or an organization or a person or a famous person. So public relation professionals help a business or an individual cultivate a positive reputation with the public through various unpaid or earned communication through social media, traditional media, and in-person engagements. They do also help clients to defend their reputation, particularly during a crisis that threatens their credibility. And here comes a new specialized field called reputation management, in which Meetu Samar has carved out a niche for herself. So friends, before it's too late, let me begin with the introduction. I have with me the profile of Dr. Navneet Anand. I would introduce the eminent panelists here. Dr. Anand is a media and communication professional, having worked for over 20 years in large media houses, academic and corporate sector. In 2010, he founded Grey Matters Communication and Consulting. He offering advisory services in public relation, public affairs, political communication, CSR, social media, advocacy, and a host of related areas. He's a commentator, blogger, columnist, and writes on a range of media, social, political, and economic issues. His weekly column published every week between 2016 to 2019 in National Daily, The Pioneer, was very popular. He has been associated as a consultant and trainer with government and police agencies, including UP government, Assam government, Bihar government, Meghalaya government, Indian Police Service Association, Rajasthan Police, UP Police, BSF. He has also consulted major political parties, including BJP, Indian National Congress, JDU on media and social media management. He has consulted agencies including the World Bank, International Labour Organization, and UNICEF. Previously, Anand worked as General Manager, Corporate Affairs and Communication at Reliance Industries Limited. Prior to that, Anand worked extensively in journalism, including the Indian Express from 96 to 99, Times of India from 2004 to 06, and the Pioneer from 2006-07. He had a stint at tech magazine PC World as editor. Anand blends a vast professional experience with high-end academic and research training, a doctorate in sociology of media from the prestigious Jawaharlal Nehru University. Dr. Anand has authored 2 books, including The Media Effect in 2003, published by Spectrum, and made over 50 contributions by way of chapters, academic papers for national and international journals. He has been a faculty teaching media policy, journalism, marketing, and strategic communication, CSR communication at prestigious institutions, including IIMC, IIM Lucknow, Jawaharlal Nehru University, Amity School of Mass Communication, Asia Pacific Institute of Management, Lady Shri Ram, MDI. He has also set undergraduate and postgraduate examination papers for Delhi University and IP University. He is a graduate from the Hindu College of Delhi University, has written on a variety of subjects including health, education, automobile, IT, urbanization. He has held various workshops across the country, and I mean, if I go on reading, I think it would take the entire session. So let me now, they say that the lady always has the last word. So let me introduce you to one of the most eminent, persons from the field of public relations, and that is Neetu Samar. Neetu Samar has been the most important aspect about Neetu Samar is that Neetu is a member of the prestigious, Board of Studies of the UPS, and just give me there is a small issue. I am coming to you in a minute. Just once again, please allow me to join you in a minute, in a second. Yes.
If I may fill in for in the meanwhile, I welcome you all, and I'm sure along with me too and Professor Suresh, we are going to have a very, very fascinating afternoon where we are talking about what is happening around us. The topic assumes significance, especially in wake of what is happening now, the COVID crisis, and how it has given us all a new ways of looking at various things.
Navneet, thank you for filling in the gap. I'm back. Navneet, am I audible?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, I was introducing Meetu. Meetu is a reputation consultant with 2 decades of experience in this space. After having worked with well-known companies like CRISIL, Standard & Poor's, Aditya Birla Capital, ICICI Prudential, MF, and the Great Eastern Shipping, she founded a reputation consultancy firm, Eminent. The company works with organizations and individuals in building, establishing, and protecting their reputation through stakeholder engagement. Ms. Samar serves as an independent director on the boards of the Times Group companies, namely Zoom Entertainment Network, Times Guarantee Limited, and Aegon Life Insurance Company Limited. As a certified leadership coach, she actively coaches C-suite leaders on making their presence impactful. This in turn enables them to strengthen their personal brand and reputation. She has coached over 30 senior professionals in the corporate world on growth and leadership. Passionate about plugging the leaky pipeline of the female workforce, Ms. Samar has mentored over 150 women and young professionals on how to succeed in professional life while maintaining a healthy balance in personal life. Under the CII Western Region Women's Network Initiative's 100 Hours of Change. The Consultants Review magazine recently recognized Ms. Samar as one of the 20 most promising women consultants in 2020. Additionally, for her contributions in the communication space, she was featured in the list of the 50 most talented corporate communication leaders 2015 by World CSR Congress and received the Promising Business Communicator 2010 award from the Association of Business Communicators of India. So she has also a master's in economics from the Mumbai University and holds a management degree in business administration from the SP Jain Institute of Management and Research. She has authored several articles and research papers. She also regularly speaks at various industry forums and is a visiting faculty in many top-tier B schools. Well, That's it. Now, let me straight away come to Mitu. What I would be looking at, we have over about 80 participants now, and what I would be looking at would be initial comments by both Mitu and Navneet. Mitu, if I can begin with you, I would like to give you, if you can give us an overview of the PR industry as of now and the future. How do you look at the future? Now, please let us remember that most of our students are prospective students who are looking at public relation and corporate communication as a career. Now, how can we, tell them about what is the state of the PR industry and what does the future hold? Mitu.
Certainly. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Professor Suresh and UPS for giving us this opportunity to reach out to such an important part of our society, which is, future of our country, right? So very happy to reach all of you. And I hope that today I, Dr. Navneet Anand, and of course, Professor Suresh, collectively will be able to add some value to you. And we'll be able to give you some direction with respect to what to expect out of this field. And since we are talking to largely students, I'll try and keep my conversation very focused with respect to career in PR than getting into deeper aspects of it. So first and foremost, of course, if I was doing live, I would have asked all of you, what do you understand by public relations or PR as a career? But since I don't have that opportunity, let this be a rhetorical question. And the minute people talk about what is PR, what comes in our mind is the ability to engage media in a manner that they write positively about the company that we are representing. So we are supposed to, magically leverage our relationships with media and maintain a positive, positive reputation of the organization. This is what at least I grew up knowing and thinking about PR. However, over the last 20 years, what I have realized is this is not even 1% of what a PR professional or public relations as a career that is supposed to offer any of us. Public relations as a career is way more strategic. It contributes to a variety of aspects of an organization. And actually, it is essential for engaging multiple stakeholders, not only just media, but employees, customers, possibly the distributors of our products, government authorities, of course, media, board members, regulators, and so on. So, it's a much deeper and much more strategic field where, we engage and interact with different stakeholders to position a certain personality, a certain company, a certain political party in a manner which aids in its reputation building. Now, having said that, why and how is it different in a digital space or in a digital age? Highly different because there are three important aspects when it comes to considering PR in a digital times, in a digital time. First and foremost, the flow of information is, unlimited. Continuous flow of information is, being thrown at all stakeholders. Again, whether it is employee or media or customer, anybody, continuously they are hearing multiple messages from multiple brands talking great things about themselves. And as they say, when information is lots, information is lost, right? So in this whole huge amount of information that's continuously coming our way, the key message of organization is getting lost. So that's one of the big challenge that digital phase presents to any public relation initiative. The second challenge that this particular, it's actually a challenge and opportunity both, that brings to the corporate India or corporate at large, or again, like I said, political parties or even individuals, is the fact that the variety of platforms, right? So at the beginning of our career, what we really needed to understand was leveraging traditional media as a platform to reach out to our stakeholders. The other ways of reaching out to our stakeholders were certain one-on-one or one-on-many kind of interactions which will hold public's attention. But now today you have then there was an advent of TV, and then this advent of whole social media and digital platform. So today, by the time you get hold of Facebook, there is a LinkedIn which is shouting at your face. The minute you are okay with LinkedIn, then there is a Twitter. Twitter settle hua, then there is Instagram. Instagram settle, now TikTok. And each of them are very different from each other. So, typically what I have observed corporates do is they have just one messaging and then they will broadcast on all channels. This is not how it can work, right? So each of these platforms have their own nuances, and we have to understand those nuances and connect with them. Most often than not, people don't understand these nuances, and hence they don't look at it like an opportunity. Rather, they look at it as a threat or a challenge, that so many platforms are there. How do I manage communication on different platforms so that a streamlined positioning of my brand can happen? So that's the second challenge. The third challenge that digital era brings to us is the fact that the expectation of response, because the patients, this whole 180, 280 character generation and information flow of continuous seconds kind of information flow, what it has done is it has made us impatient as personality. So when we are throwing out information continuously in the world, we are expecting that world will respond to us also at the same pace. So organizations are getting very limited time to actually respond, right? So one query is coming its way, and then if it is not responding in few seconds, rather in some cases minutes or hours, the magnitude of the whole query becomes so huge, then there'll be 20 other stakeholders jumping in, that controlling the narrative becomes a big challenge. So these are the three key challenges which I believe in the digital age corporates are facing. And this whole concept of earning your media visibility, or earning your visibility, so to say, like Professor Suresh mentioned right at the beginning, that it's about earning visibility than buying visibility. Definitely. And that is what gets you reputation, right? Because what people are saying about you, it's not what you're saying about yourself. And research has proven that 92% of the customers believe what other people are talking about the brand more than what brands themselves are talking about themselves through advertisements, etc. So definitely earned media is very, very critical. Fortunately, social media or this whole digital area is providing us those platforms, but because of the three challenges that I outlined, which is information, variety of platforms, and impatience in the stakeholder group, is creating a challenge. And as public relation professionals going forward, you will need to hence build in certain skills which are essential to deal with these challenges. But keeping interest of time in mind, I will elaborate those few skills during the question and answer session.
Sure. Thank you.
And Professor Suresh will ask me those questions.
Thank you, Dr. Samar, for that very, very, enlightening information. Now, Dr. Navneet Anand is a practitioner, and you saw it that he actually did a crisis management just few minutes back. When there was a technical glitch at my end, without even my prompting him to do it, he immediately handled it and started, engaging with the conversation so that the chain doesn't break down, you know. So this is crisis management. And right now we are facing, the entire world is facing a very great crisis of a magnitude that humanity has never seen before, the corona crisis. A lot of corporates, governments, they are all at the receiving end today. The entire humanity is at the receiving end today. In the backdrop of corona, Dr. Navneet, if you can throw light on how public relation is going to shape up. So if you can sum it up in a nutshell in the next 5 minutes or so that then we can proceed with the discussions.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Professor Suresh. Always a delight being with you. This is the first time we are together virtually, but I have had the luxury of in your company when you were presiding over the IIMC. My dear friends, a very good afternoon. And I must tell you, you're very, very lucky to have somebody, Professor Suresh, KG Suresh, a distinguished person and a renowned name in the media and media education sector, and also been director of the very, very prestigious Indian Institute of Mass Communication, heading the UPES School of Modern Media. Firstly, compliments to you, Professor Suresh, and your very bright
Thank
team
you
for having this session. My dear, very young friends, what a lovely way to connect, even though we can't see each other, but I'm sure Meetu has made my job much easier. She has very nicely summed up what is the challenges, what are the challenges of public relations. But I would give you a glimpse of what Professor KG Suresh was talking about a little while ago, on the crisis management. And I was pleading to God that Professor Suresh would ask me to speak first, because we work with a finance health minister of Assam who is super active in terms, and he is one person who's all like to be. And as we were starting this conversation, I got an alert from his office that there are 2 more new corona cases, COVID cases. And instantly we had to, my colleague who is supporting, unfortunately, is unwell. She's very, very young, very bright, slightly unwell. And it has to be done within minutes, because else media starts distorting. And I'm telling this to my young friends so that they can relate with the kind of opportunity, the kind of job they are required to do once they get into the PR sector. So while Meetu was very nicely summing it up, I did that job of creating a tweet and a banner that goes, and we are good to go here. So that is what has happened today. That speed, like Meetu was saying, has become of critical significance. Now, what is public relations in a very, very simple terms, because I'm assuming many of you are very young minds. It is that you are becoming the eyes and the ears. You're the brand ambassador of the company, the organization, the political party, the corporate group, the public sector, the government agency that you're working for. You go out and represent that organization, right? And when you are representing, what is it that you have to communicate? What is the message that you have to communicate? Now, things have changed. As I call it, we have moved from walk-ins to phone-ins to now zooming in. That is when I was doing journalism, a PR professional would walk in, hand over a piece of press releases, have a nice chit chat, have a cup of tea, and then go away. Things moved a little, and then we got into a situation of phone in where people would, rather than meeting, they would, call and, discuss, and then there were emails. And then zooming in, now it is becoming the social distancing, the new. And I would believe that going ahead, this is going to be a norm, because we are living in a hugely technology-enabled, technology-mediated environment where public relations, which has to do with lot of interface, you need to be connecting with people all the time. It is going to be much more dynamic. much more faster and far more efficient also. Because you guys, all of you youngsters, you are the TikTok generation or the Instagram generation, Generation Z as you're called, are very, very good, very fast with what you do. And therefore, I see this as a great opportunity for many of you. PR as a career, and an institution with like UPES, which is customizing its entire module to the in sync with the new realities, I think is the right place to be in.
Thank you, Dr. Navneet. And I'm indeed grateful that in spite of the pressing engagements, your commitment to the future generation is very evident from the fact that, you are here and sparing your valuable time. Thank you. Thank you for those initial thoughts. Mitu, are you there? Mitu Samar? Yes, your mic, please. If you can unmute yourself. Yes. Mitu, now let me straight come to the questions. And in the meantime, let me request the students who are present here, please ask your questions as and when it comes to your mind immediately on the chat box. And we will be taking up these questions in due course. In maybe another half an hour's time, we will start taking up these questions. So you can prepare your questions, listen carefully, and then respond. Right. Mitu, my first question is, event management has emerged as an emerging industry today. I remember the film, I think it was Anushka, yes, Band Baja Bharat, and how they started off as an event management. But today, everything from political parties to even wedding celebrations at home, event management has become an integral part of our country, our society. Now, how do you look at its future? Because event management is something which is part of our curriculum. We have a specialized course on event management. So if you can throw light on the future of event management.
Sure. I think it cannot be more pertinent to discuss about event management than the current times, right? Because this is one such industry which is heavily impacted due to Corona. And we are not seeing any event happen because of the whole concept of physical distancing that we need to, manage in current times. So event management, again, we spoke about crisis a little while ago, and it is currently undergoing that kind of phase. And hence, it is highly essential for us to remember 2-3 things around this. First and foremost, the fact that there are too many events happening, right? So what you need to know is that how can you make your events stand out and make people compel people to come and attend it, right? So there has to be some compelling buy-in in that space for us to, actually that will act as a bait for people to come and attend our programs. So our ability to understand businesses, understand trends, and then recommend certain themes which will be relevant is highly critical. So that's one thing about event management we must understand. The second important thing about event management we need to understand is the variety that it needs to have, because again the event is attended, one particular event can be attended by a 70-year-old and also by a 17-year-old, right? So you have to ensure that your content, so it's again not only then becomes about content, right? So then your content, your presentation, your engagement activities during that event is such that you're able to engage so many audiences differently at the same point in time. Again, for which you need to be very, very up to date about the current trends, what's happening, what's not happening, and bring in new elements. The ability to have speed towards your thought process, innovation towards your thought process, the willingness to experiment. All these are the certain skills that will be essential when it comes to managing or doing this whole space of event management, right? The third and the final important thing that we need to remember is the whole contour of event management is going to undergo a complete shift. So what used to be one-on-one events are now becoming digital events, and we're talking about this whole digital era. And fortunately, despite this whole COVID-like crisis which hit us from nowhere, we had no idea what's going to happen. The whole digital platform has actually given life to the whole event management space. So for us to understand this platform is highly critical. So what used to be earlier like a video conferencing moved to a webinar. Now what used to be like a webinar is now becoming like something like web talks, right? Now roundtable discussions and conversations are happening. So different fields, different. In fact, now recently one of the clients got in touch with us and they were saying that how can we also facilitate networking during digital events, right? Because networking is one of the critical parts of event. People come there not only to gather knowledge, but also to know like-minded people. But digital events are not really giving them that kind of an opportunity. So what can be done so that people can actually ping each other, set meetings, connect with each other, and network? So these are certain elements, which we need to be mindful of with respect to a career in event management. What's the kind of future I see for this space? It's an evergreen space. It'll keep evolving and changing with changing times, but it will always remain in flavor. That's something I genuinely believe. And I've also had band baja varat kind of moments much earlier on in my career when I used to handle, various corporates, and we had corporate events and things going wrong, right? So we also have had those aspects, but it just shapes you very differently as a professional.
Thank you for those very valuable insights, Mitu. Now, Dr. Navneet, let us now come to a very important, development in the media industry. Since you have worked for long in the media, today the in thing in media is visual storytelling, and I find the same thing happening in advertising also. I mean, not today. In fact, I've been seeing this trend. You remember that Google advertisement of Jajaria. You have this Pakistani and Indian, old friends who were, during partition, they were separated. And then they used to steal Jajaria from a shop. And they would, come back, unite. And that story, Google had turned it into a full story. And very subtly, they promoted, Google. Then now you see the Parle advertisement, the Parle G advertisement, where you have an old mother and this young generation who go out to watch movies, who initially feel what is the need for mother, but then they realize how much mother is looking at the old album. So Parle G is no more selling biscuits. They are selling a story, an emotion, So what I wanted to know is that for PR also, is visual storytelling the new medium?
Absolutely. For my young friends, I will just narrate a small story and real life experience. I come from a print background, as you all know, my dear friends. So when I teach print journalism, now I get very, very less opportunity. I'm very greedy of learning from young minds. But we have seen, sir, when I used to work in Express, we had this DOS-based computer, kala screen hota tha usme, and you would have to type as if you felt like a programmer many a time. The newspapers would be big, this big, this big, and it was black and white. One story would be about 500 words, and you had one picture. The whole front page would have not more than 4 or 5 big stories. Then from Express, when I moved to the Times of India, suddenly, and we moved from black and white to the colored newspaper. I don't know how many of them would even know that we earlier had black and white newspapers. And then we moved to what is called the Berliner size, a smaller size, uh, sleeker size, and newspapers started to look very, very dynamic. So we were told that, I remember a couple of times when my story was chosen as a flyer, I was on the desk. I did not have the luxury of writing too often, but whenever I would write, I would pitch for a prominent place. I was very lucky. In fact, when Narayan Murthy had come, he picked my story to go as a flyer in the Times of India. And I was said that this story would not be more than 300 words. I said, but I have 700 words. I come from a JNU background. I can write a lot. They said, nothing doing. And this was 2005-06. They said, you have to keep your story short because there are going to be a lot of photographs. And then as we moved along, we realized that newspaper started to change itself. Why? Because there was the advent of the web, the internet. And if you look, my dear young friends, the newspapers, many of the newspapers front page you would like may look like website homepage of many websites. So newspaper, and of course we had some visionaries who could anticipate the changes, and visual storytelling became more compelling. Everything was taught through or conveyed through the art of visuals. PR, of course, also has evolved over a period of time. There is very, very strong integration of digital medium. And of course, we are using a great amount of visual component. But having said that, I think the kind of PR that we do, the kind of PR that is going to be relevant in the times to come, me too was hinting towards that, is the serious kind of PR, right? Where the content would continue to hold sway. So as you begin to prepare for a career and begin to go to a place like UPES, always be mindful. And you have some veterans. I was looking through, sir, your advisory board and the kind of people who are coming to UPES, brilliant team of very robust, sound professionals from the industry come walking in. So as you prepare, I think you have to be mindful of the fact that while visual is picking up, content remains the soul of what you communicate. Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Thank you, Navneet, I think the same holds true for journalism also. Content will always remain the king. Now, both of you have been...
Professor Suresh, I just wanted to add one point to what Dr. Anand was mentioning.
Yes.
That, content always remains the king, as in, not much can be emphasized on that. I keep telling all the students when I go to all these schools that unless you don't understand what you're selling, you just can't sell, right? So it's important for you to understand. The second important thing in the visual storytelling, and especially with respect to PR, I would like to emphasize is the point of empathy, right? Because a lot of times what's happening is the speed at which we have to respond to and to get the messaging right, the content right, we are missing out on that emotional and human connect, and which makes a negative incident convert into crisis. So a story can be visually appealing, can connect more with people, and can help us save from that PR crisis, so to say, which can come our way.
Yeah,
absolutely,
very,
absolutely.
very relevant. A picture is worth 1,000 words.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. Now that brings me to the next question. Both of you are regularly invited to reputed media colleges. Navneet goes to IIMC. Navneet has been to my earlier place also, APJ, and Navneet is at UPS also. So all the leading institutions, both of you go. Me too, I've seen you at NTPC training. hardcore PR professionals. Now, what I wanted to know is that when you look at the media school curriculums, what is it that you find missing in the current curriculum of media schools?
Sure. I'm assuming ladies go first, so I'll just take it first. What I have observed, and coincidentally, I do go to a couple of media and PR colleges to teach as a regular faculty there. What we have consciously tried doing is bringing in this whole divide from campus to corporate, right? What was theoretical, what works in books, etc., is great. But when you come to real life, it's very, very different. So, simple things as I recall one of the PR colleges where I go to, communications colleges it is, the PR course focuses on media relations as one particular module. So one of the things that we've done is we've converted that whole concept of media relations into stakeholder engagement, because again, reminding them that the PR is an equation of perception versus reality. Of course, media plays a crucial role in creating that perception, but it cannot be the only stakeholder to focus upon. There are so many more stakeholders to look at. So, making the courses more practical, more relevant, more about today than anything else. I think that's where one of the areas where a lot of PR schools or B schools across the globe are lacking, which is bridging the gap between what is theoretically right versus what is practically relevant.
Navneet, would you like to add something to this?
Absolutely, pretty much what Meetu says, but in addition to that, and what is more disturbing, and this could be because owing to my background from JNU, what I find terribly missing, and that is what gives me hope that you being there at UPES will ensure this, the lack of academic rigor. While there are teachers who are doing exceedingly well in terms of enabling students to get an industry exposure, the emphasis or lack of emphasis on reading books, so a Dennis Maxwell communications theory is something that should be a Bible for all students of journalism and communication and PR and advertising. Now that is terribly missing. That's very, very important. Plus the ability to relate with what is happening. The simple things like the habit of reading newspapers. Now, modern day, if you ask youngsters, akhbar padha, sir, we look at it, the news in shorts. Now that is fine, but this is the time. An academic institution or a course is a time when you could build yourself, when you can acquire the kind of knowledge that is needed as you go along. Once you have a sound theoretical base, trust me, it becomes all very easy as you go along.
Thank you, Navneet. Continuing with the academic part of the discussion, often I see, and Navneet, you yourself have shifted from journalism to public relation. You see a lot of journalism students actually at the time of placement opting for public relation, though they have done a course in journalism. In fact, we used to have at IMC, we used to have a problem when the placement companies would come. The EJ students would also insist that they also want to sit along with the public relation and advertising students. So, this shift happens. But don't you think that it is important for these students to train themselves in public relation, because public relation is now no more about writing press releases, that you have been writing news reports, so I can become a, public relation professional also. Public relation as an extension of journalism. Public relation is a profession on its own, which needs its own skill sets rather than being a continuum of journalism. It has a symbiotic relationship with journalism, undoubtedly, but professionals, PR professionals, who are those students who are aspiring to be PR professionals, should certainly have certain skill sets which would give them an edge, an advantage over the normal journalism students. Navneet?
Yes, sir, absolutely. I think very, very important. And I have the privilege of working with very many youngsters who are part of Gray Matters and Communications. And I keep telling them almost day in and day out that your ability to be on your feet, to relate with what is happening around you, to be able to translate that into something more meaningful, more constructive for your client, I think is very, very important. It requires a distinct set of abilities and skill set. I was so happy to see you are giving that specific courses, So for instance, your BA in digital and mass media. Now I'm slightly digressing, but very, very important in the context of UPES, your MBA in events, public relations, and corporate communications. Now, if I look at the course, is so beautifully designed that prepares the UPES program, I repeat, on MBA in events, public relations, and corporate communication. It equips you with the right skill set, with the right knowledge, with the right information, and the right understanding of what is happening around you to be able to excel in that field. What is happening today, and nothing against anyone, but I tell many of, so we have some very, very bright interns working with us now. And I tell them that not them, they are really bright, but there have been instances where students have walked in and they have not known ABC of public relations. They think if you are able to write a press release, if you can pick up a call and talk to a journalist, I think that's, like Mitu said early in the day, that's just about 10% of public relations. It's far more intensive. And therefore, courses like your course, like MBA in events, public relations, and corporate communication matter a great deal.
Thank you. Mitu, would you like to add?
Absolutely. Especially because the whole topic today we're discussing around the whole digital era. Journalism, while it equips you to be able to write well, convey well a certain episode or a news or an event, but it's essential for you to also understand how do you disseminate it, how do you make people understand the nuance of this role. And see, a journalist is writing as a third party and giving his own opinion, but here you have to talk about your organization, without seeming that you're trying to sell your organization. So it's
very subjective. It's very subjective.
Very, very subjective, ability. And secondly, this I have known multiple print journalists in the last 20 years. Not all have been able to, even while they're very well known, okay, yet not all of them have been able to garner even a decent follower on Twitter or on LinkedIn. So their ability to understand this whole digital space itself is so challenged. So, like Dr. Anand was highlighting, specific courses like you were talking about digital and mass media, BA in that, specific courses like that are very, very important to ready people and make them make meaningful contributions to their organizations.
Mitu, now thank you for that. Let me come to your favorite subject.
I think Anand wants to say something.
Yeah, yes.
Just added that I missed saying that there is a BBA as well in events, public relations.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing it to the fore. Thank you. Mitu, coming to your specialization, now that is the new specialization, super specialization, and that is reputation management. And you yourself in that field. Can you elaborate what it's all about and how it is linked PR, corporate communication, how it's an extension, and how can students excel in that, how it is so important today when reputations, thanks to social media, are at stake, So if you can elaborate on that.
Sure. Two important things we need to keep in mind. See what happens today, brands are spending huge amounts of money in high decibel campaigns, right? So they do these ad campaigns and tell that this is great about me, that is great about me. Now, continuous flow of these information and these high decibel campaigns, what they are doing is they are making the corporates pretty well known, right? So whenever I want to make a certain transaction with a certain company, the recall of these brands become very high, and hence they become a part of my consideration set. So like, say for example, if I want to buy a television, so much advertisement happens around Sony, LG, Samsung, that top of mind recall, these three companies will come and they will become part of my consideration set. But out of this consideration set, only one can move to conversion set, and then we will stay loyal to that. And reputation does that, because you might be part of, like, okay, these three brands, I know them well, but I have heard people say great things about this company. I have heard people have fantastic experience with respect to this company. Look at their look at their social media ranking and rating. That's high. The comments on Twitter and Facebook, all that is very positive. Okay, fine. Looks like the people are having great experience with this brand, and hence let me also get associated with this brand. Now, this is not true only for association as a customer. This holds true as an employee. If people are saying that I have had fantastic career with this particular organization, if I have two job options, I will go with the one where most people are saying that we had fantastic career option here, right? Or again, like I talked about customer, it is about distributors, or again, any stakeholder who wants to associate with you will associate with you based on what is getting talked about you. And what gets talked about you comes from the experience. So under reputation management, what we do is we help companies and individuals ensure that they leave behind fantastic experience, where their promise that they are making through their brand campaigns are actually matching the promise delivery that they do to various stakeholders. And here public relation becomes very important, because like I said, in my mind, PR is an equation of perception versus reality. So what perception you want to create about you is one thing, but unless you don't convert that into reality, people will not like to have a long-term association with you. So so reputation comes in here. So in reputation, PR comes in here, wherein we guide individuals in terms of what exactly should you talk about yourself in public platforms, so that your claims are believable. And then how do you make other people also talk about you? The earned media part that you spoke about right at the beginning, how you make other people talk about you, not only through media, but through many other platforms. Influencers, nowadays they are very, very in thing. How do you get influencers to get get talking about you? How do you get your opinion makers talk about you? So many elements. How do you ensure that the customers that are talking about you are talking about you in positive light? And whenever they have a customer complaint to make, they are going to DM, right? So they're giving you private messages or direct messages whenever there is a complaint, but whenever they want to appreciate you, they are using an open platform. So things like these become very critical, and this is where we see a huge or a lovely fit of PR in the whole reputation management objective.
Thanks for that, Mitu. Actually, I was reminded of a joke. Where there is this guy who goes to buy a Rolls Royce and takes it out of the showroom, and he travels 1 kilometers, and suddenly, there is a breakdown, and suddenly then he calls up the showroom guys. They land up there, and when they open the bonnet, and they find that there is no engine. Somehow they forgot to put the engine, and so he says, "Sorry, sir, I'm sorry. I mean, somehow something happened. There is no engine in this. That's why it stopped." He said, "How can Rolls Royce stop after 1 kilometer?" He said that, well, it stopped because there's no engine. Then this fellow is surprised. He said, if there is no engine, how can it travel 1 kilometer? So then this showroom guy says that, well, sir, reputation. Uh, so reputation has taken it for 1 kilometer. So reputation can take you for that extra kilometer even if you don't have any engine.
True.
So that is it. Well, now, before we come to the questions, from the students, a large number of students. One question, Dr. Navneet, that everyone would like to know is, what are the good qualities of a public relation person? Of a good PR professional, what are the qualities?
First and foremost, and I was telling this to my son who is 15 years old earlier in a different context, is to have empathy. That is, you should be able to step into the shoes of others, the mind of others, to understand. If you can, and I never use the word client, but for my young friends who may not understand, I think what I mean, the partner, I always call them partners. As a PR professional, if you can understand the mind of your client, I think nothing works better than that. So that's certainly one good quality that you must have. If you don't have, you can always inculcate. The ability to write and articulate well. Now, I interview a lot of youngsters. They say, I'm good in communication. Achha, what do you mean by good in communication? नहीं जी, मैं अच्छा बोल सकती हूँ, अच्छा बात कर सकती हूँ. I have the convincing power. So, okay, convince me कि आपको मैं क्यों रखूँ अपने यहाँ. So, because I'm good in communication. हम बोले, how does that statement prove that you're good in communication? No, because I can talk well, and then they will say, Now, whenever you're doing this formal communication, this business is not done. So it is not only talking that determines how good you are in communication, but writing is very, very important. So if you can read newspapers, if you can read books, if you can write correct English and correct Hindi, I think that's very, very important. What is the challenge with the modern generation? And pardon me for saying this, but let us face it, that your ability to write, because of this WhatsApp, because of, you say ILU instead of I love you, which is such a powerful expression, or, GM for good morning, GN for good night. Now that suffocates me. Please, for God's sake, do not get into that habit. Write correct full sentences. So one, good empathy. Two, let me not turn this into a classroom. Two, ability to write, that will happen only with. Three, to be on your toes, to be able to relate with whatever is happening around us. Every day something is happening which you can relate with your clients, with your partners, and propose that this is what we can respond to. I think these are some of the good qualities, and what your teachers tell you. There are many things that your teachers will also tell you.
Thank you. Now, for the information of everyone who is present, this is being streamed live on UPS Facebook page also. So those who are, due to any connectivity problem, unable to connect with us, please, and for all latest updates on UPS School of Modern Media, all our future webinars, please, you can subscribe to our UPS page. You can follow us on Twitter, on UPS Facebook page and LinkedIn. Friends, okay, now, Mitu, are you there?
Yes.
Yes. Mitu, continuing with what Dr. Navneet has said, that when you go for hiring, you also have a team. When you go for hiring, what is it that you look for in a prospective employee? When you go to a media school, I'm sure both of you are coming to UPS also, when these students get ready. So when you guys come, what will you be looking for? What should the students be prepared for,
First and foremost, skill that I look for typically is, so there are two aspects that I look for, okay? One is the skill, and the other aspect, which is functional skill, and the other aspect is the attitude. right? And I think it's a very, very, very important to get the right mix of the two, because you might have all the right skill, but if you don't have the right attitude, you will reach nowhere. At the same time, if you don't have the right, if you have the right attitude but you really don't know anything, it gets very difficult for us to keep training, right? So a good mix of both is very essential. The key skills that I look for typically is first and foremost understanding of content and your ability to express and write that content. A lot of times, a lot of us know quite a lot what's happening in the general environment, but if you're not able to express it in words, then your knowledge is of no use, right? So your ability to communicate, express what is in your head. So as a PR professional or as a media professional, or overall, being in the whole profession of branding and reputation, first and foremost skill that you must have is your ability to communicate well. And this includes both your written and verbal communication. That's first. The second thing that one must nowadays we look for is your ability to connect with various digital platforms, right? So you cannot say that, oh, I'm not there on Twitter, I'm there on Insta. Your being on Insta is of no help to us, because if my clients are all serious in our LinkedIn variety, right? So you have to not only know LinkedIn, Insta, but you also have to know LinkedIn, and you also have to know Twitter. Like TikTok, telling you about 4 months ago, I literally dismissed it as a very casual platform. But today, it is one of the most critical brand platforms. And in fact, one of the clients that we are advising, they are focusing on, like, they're creating dedicated content for TikTok. Right? So unless you don't understand variety of platforms, and especially these digital platforms, again, that becomes a challenge for us to, associate with you. And the final, like, I love to make comments in threes. So first is communication, second is digital platforms, and the third and very important aspect that you also need to understand is your, visual expressions. So how are you able to possibly pick up the right images and give away, like if you're creating a tweet, if it has to be complemented by a lovely photograph, how do you either pick it up from internet, knowing that they're free to use, and or secondly, your photography skills, how are you leveraging that? Maybe a course on photography itself could be essential for you. So your ability, so these things act as an added advantage, your ability to visually or pictorially represent a certain thought and opinion. And all these three will go nowhere if you have the wrong attitude. So please make sure that your attitude is right.
Thank you. I'm sure that there are great takeaways for our students. And lastly, before we come to the students' questions, Navneet, are you there? Dr. Navneet Anand? Yes. With increasing digitization, we hear about terms like integrated newsroom and convergence media in journalism. You have been a journalist yourself. Do you also see more an integrated approach when it comes to PR, advertising, and digital marketing?
Yes, sir. I think very, very important to have an integrated approach. But what is most critical, especially I would say in the context of public relations, that whenever you are designing a campaign for a client, and as we speak, one of my partners is working, one of my colleagues is working on a proposal, and we had a elaborate discussion this morning, that you have to have that different approaches for your different platforms. So your media engagement, by media I say print and television, will be qualitatively much different as when you are making a program for social media. In social media, again, you have to do slicing of the messaging, right? What goes on Twitter may not be relevant for the Facebook. And like Meetu said, you have to understand the finer nuances of each of these mediums, right? For speed, for engaging with policy makers, relevant stakeholders in the knowledge domain, I think Twitter is the best option. You want to play up a video, I think go to Facebook. So slicing of the messaging, as well as using the right kind of set of ingredients to make your messaging work for the advantage of your partner and the client, I think very, very important. So while it has to be integrated, there has to be smart slicing as well that has to be kept in mind.
Very
Yes.
important. Slicing is very important. Mitu, adding to that, if you can also comment on, because we are talking about PR in the digital age, how new media technologies like artificial intelligence, augmented reality, virtual reality, special effects, and animation can help public relations in the digital age?
All these, see, because you're today's audience, and we spoke about Gen Z a couple of questions ago. Your current audience is of the nature who connects with this kind of conversations and communications, right? So animated, special effects, all these kind of conversation, your audience connects with it. Now you as a PR professional may not really have to sit and make a file which is of that nature, but you have to tell a professional who
Hello? Dr. Navneet?
Yes, sir. I think some issue with Mitu.
Maybe you can carry it forward.
Is this clear?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I'm on hotspot and there's a call which came, so I assume.
Yeah, it happens. It can happen to me also.
I'm sorry. I'll be careful. So I don't know how much of my talk you heard.
Well, what you were saying was that, while you need not be actually doing it, but you should have a fair idea about it and tell the expert how to go about it. You should be able to, yeah.
Correct.
Understanding of the technology is important.
Absolutely. Like, say, for example, designing a website. Now, you won't sit in code. But what is it that you want to communicate? Unless you don't convey that, a coder can't create a website of that impactful.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So that is important. Being aware and being, ability to convey that impactfully.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mitu. That was a wonderful panel discussion. Now, Dr. Navneet, I am coming to the questions from students. I would request you to be very brief so that we can take as many questions as possible, and to the point. Just one second. Let me start with the questions, and then, there are two faculty members, Adarsh Kumar and Vandana Yadav, who have congratulated both panelists. And now we have Mr. Rakesh Priyadarshi, but his question is about agricultural entrepreneurship. That another debate we will have, another discussion. Yes, Sargam Tandon is asking, sir, which course should we go for public relations? Dr. Navneet?
I think you have multiple options at UPES. That is, if he's class 12, he can go for this BBA program, which offers an integrated kind of an approach. So there is this events as well and corporate communications. Now that prepares you to go for a more holistic sort of career option as you pass out from here. So I would think, depending on what class he is in, a BBA or an MBA.
Yes, and PR and advertising are also going to be part of BJMC and MJMC.
Right.
Also. Yes, anonymous attendee, does PR and advertisement go hand in hand? Mitu?
Yes, they do. Right? Only thing is, one is paid and one is earned. And hence the credibility of what is earned and the trustworthiness of what is earned is, carries a higher weight. So what advertisement does is, you end up spending a lot of money behind these campaigns. PR is a great way of cost effectively getting you the message out. At the same time, like I said, it has a huge quotient of trustworthiness. I had quoted one of the figures earlier also, that research has proven 92% of the customers who were surveyed at a point in time, they said that they would believe what other people have to say about the brand more than what brand itself says about its own credibilities. So always third party opinion works well. However, for a company, it's important that they also say great things about themselves, and world also does so. So definitely an integrated approach is essential.
Thank you. Again, Dr. Navneet, this is a question from Saloni Sharma. What is the scope of corporate communication in future, and what are the career opportunities we can look for in this particular course?
As we live in an age of information explosion and the multiplicity of platforms that are available to us, I think it is becoming extremely critical for all corporates, from very small to very big, to have specialized communication professionals perform that role. And therefore, it is important that you prepare yourself accordingly. I see going ahead, it's going to be very, very relevant and pertinent for all corporates. And so the more the merrier. You have a lot of good opportunities on your way, provided you prepare yourself by going to a professional school like UPES and undertaking a course. Do not think just because you want to, you have a good ability to write or speak, you can be a good professional. I think a professional course is very, very important.
If I may just add,
yes.
because about 15 years I have had my career as a corporate communication professional. So two things I want to add here. I did enter into this profession by default. I did not have any former degree. All right. I was an economics postgraduate, like Professor Suresh mentioned. And I actually joined the organization to do economic research. But just because I was talking really well and I could express my opinion very well, they put me into this whole corporate communication department. Now I landed there. I was doing fairly well. However, I did realize that I appear as a Ponga Pandit, if I can just, use that statement. That somewhere deep in my heart, I knew that I don't know the classics or the
nuances.
the nuances, absolutely. So whatever I was doing was very intuitive, right? And then I went back and I did specialize in marketing and brand building as my so I took a formal degree from SPJN, and that helped me immensely. It helped me look at things in a very different manner. Same happened with me recently when I really you talked about the whole concept of empathy. I felt I'm very good at it. A couple of people reached out to me for coaching them, and I started coaching leadership team members of a variety of organizations. But again, deep down, somewhere I was feeling that I'm missing the nuances. So I actually went back. I've done a formal certification in coaching and came back, and I'm now coaching, and I feel so much more confident. So always a structured course, a structured program is highly recommended. Since I am personally associated with UPES, I would like to give that declaration clearly.
Yes.
I am very, very convinced that the programs that we are offering are very good quality, and we would, I would, recommend you to please consider, the variety of courses, and of course choose as per your comfort. But do take a look.
Thank you. Now, again, to Mitu, if you can continue. This is Nimi Maria Joseph. She is asking, sir, what about the financial security in taking PR as a profession? How can we enter into an established field?
Yeah. Financial security is a must, and I'm assuming you're a lady from your name. While I don't
Yes.
know, for women
Yes.
it's even more important. Okay, so I have another aspect where I really believe women empowerment, and for women, I genuinely believe financial security is a must, irrespective of the gender. Financial security is a must. Is it PR or not PR? Any field, that's a completely different conversation of how should you do financial planning. You must do financial planning early on in your career. Take advantage of power of compounding, because even if you start investing say 1,000 rupees every month, in 30 years time it will multiply at a certain rate, with which it will compound at a certain rate, so your growth of your finances will be way higher. If your question is on how do you get paid, what is the standard of payment, etc., I would say fairly good. I myself am an employer, and we make sure that we are matching the industry standards. And in terms of salary structure, it's pretty much comparable to any other field of media, right? So so with respect to that, it's pretty much good. Whatever you're earning, even if you earn say 30,000 rupees in a month, if you're spending all of your 30,000 rupees, then there is no financial security. But if you're earning 20,000 and you're saving 10,000 out of it, that's what will get you financial security. So please have a balance of the two. You're muted, Professor Suresh, you're muted.
Dr. Navneet?
Yes, sir.
What all comes under public relation?
Oh, that's a vast question. In last 10 years of my active existence of Grey Matters and Communications, I think we would have done a variety of things, So from very high-end advocacy campaigns against counterfeit pesticide to running a campaign to promote a new technology of road construction. I'm just giving you what I have done. That will give you a sense of the kind of exciting work opportunity that is there, to doing training, social media training program for IAS officers, IPS officers, to officers of SSB, Indian Air Force, Indian Navy, to doing a CSR program for a big multinational in back of beyond in a place like Bihar, from where I come from. And so we did that exciting project in Bihar where we adopted 5 villages, and I designed so from doing the recce to conceptualizing the program. It's called iClean, and a very, very popular program, inculcating cleanliness, learning, education, awareness, and new habits. So public relations, and I write it very often, I tell it, I speak it, nothing could be more exciting than public relations. And I have done this, and I say this very often, that one morning I had a coffee with a CEO in Mumbai. In the afternoon, same afternoon, we went to Pune, where we had to take some journalists to a farm visit. And I had a big gobi in the field with a picture which I put as a Facebook cover. And in the evening, I fly back, and I had a meeting with Meghalaya Chief Minister when we were finalizing a public relations campaign. That's the kind of bandwidth, that's the kind of length and breadth of the kind of activities you do. You can work with corporates, you can work with UN agencies like ILOs we have worked with, you can work with multinationals, you can work with government agencies, political parties, and so on and so forth. It's huge, it's very big. Nothing could be as dynamic, as diverse, and as gratifying as public relations.
Absolutely. That also includes, publishing your own journals, bringing out, for the internal, your own journals, news bulletins, and of course the social media and digital. Shubha is asking a question, Meetu, if you can answer that. I would like to ask, can we say public relation is part of corporate communication? And why do we have both of them in different categories?
See, actually, the way public relation and corporate communication both again have a lot of synergies, but then both of them have their own nuances as well, right? So they have to be treated differently. You cannot, they cannot be clubbed. There is a very fine nuance difference between the two. In corporate communication, as the name recommends, it is got to do with any kind of communication a certain corporate wants to do with its stakeholders. And like I said, it could range from customer related conversations to employee related internal communication to external communication, all of it together. Public relations, on the other hand, has has even wider extension, because then it doesn't get limited only to corporates. Like Dr. Anand was saying, it also has an implication on political parties. It also has implication on individual. Like, say, for example, a lot of you will connect with this Salman Khan, right? He is one of the best cases of public relations. The way his whole reputation was managed. So how do you go about an individual's reputation management? To political parties, to CSR campaigns, to corporates as well. So it is much wider with respect to the kind of industries it caters to, while corporate communication is more limited to individual specific companies, and hence the two are different, and hence I guess courses around them also need to be specially curated.
Okay, we have a lot of questions. I want to kind of if you can be, both the panelists, I request them to be brief so that we can address as many questions in the next 10-15 minutes.
Yes.
Yash Mittal is asking Navneet, what impact does the digital platforms have on people at individual level?
I think it allows you to explore yourself more, keep in sync with what is happening around you. You are more informed, more adept, more in sync with things around you. If I have understood the question all right. It also allows you to express yourself. As against the conventional form of media, that is print media. I have been a practitioner, I have been a journalist. There used to be just one medium of, it's more one-sided. What digital does is it allows you the luxury of making the communication two ways. You can always have an opinion, an idea, a fact, which you can put across to a journalist, to a politician, because Twitter especially has made it extremely personalized. Most of us are handling Twitter ourselves. So the your ability to potentially reach with your side of the story is much higher. Yes, sir.
The next question I'm taking, sorry, students are asking too many. I mean, the same students are asking other questions. I will come back if we have time, but let me first take, let me give an opportunity to all the students. We have Sargam Tandon asking, is digital marketing related to PR? Is digital marketing related to PR? Mitu?
Of course, it is related to PR. Like we spoke, it's an integrated communication. So whatever is getting talked about a certain brand, whether through digital marketing or through digital PR, both have an influence on the brand. So definitely they are related and they do have an influence.
Dr. Navneet, here is a question from Yogesh Biduri. How to measure the success of PR?
So there are various models of this. Conventionally, and which I don't agree, but that certainly is one measure. The number of clips, the kind of influence, the kind of policy change you can bring about, the kind of noise you can create, the kind of relevant stakeholders you can reach out to. And so there are some jargons that they use in PR. I'm assuming that many of you are very young, so I would refrain from using that. So, I mean, typically what is called, if you can move the needle on the share of the voice. Now that's to me is, Greek and Roman, for what it means that if you can impact the conversation somewhere, if you can have, I'll give you one example. So one of my, and that would perhaps answer, one of our partners, we have been working, it's a big multinational in the agriculture space. We have been working for 9 years now. And they had an issue where a very big media house ran a sensational story saying that tomato, and this company happens to be the leader in tomato seed. There is this Tiranga tobacco and tomato, and there is linkage with COVID. Now we just did one tweet, but we knew whom to tag. We said that this is erroneous, this is absolutely bizarre, and the channel should pull out that story. That's the impact. The channel not only pulled down the story, they also clarified that there is no linkage whatsoever of tomato with COVID. And not only that, Uddhav Thackeray's office, Honorable Chief Minister of Maharashtra, they have also taken cognizance and they are acting on it. So that's the kind of impact that we are referring to. At times it can be very pronounced, at times it can be subtle, at times it can be one night affair, at times it can take long, depending on the kind of campaigns you are doing.
There is a question, maybe Dr. Navneet, you would be able to answer it. I think this is related to rural areas. This is Amit Kumar Srivastav asking how to make good public relation in village, in digital age. I think he is talking about rural areas.
I think
how to make good.
Yeah. That's a fascinating concept. Fortunately, we have run a campaign called Kushal Kisan for a Tata Trust supported foundation called Transform Rural India Foundation. Please understand, television has made our jobs much more easier. The penetration of mobile phones and likes of Jio, at least what is happening, that the digital divide is much less sharper than it used to be in the past. And therefore you have to have the right kind of messaging. If you can reach out to, so there is often this talk of smartphone messaging and WhatsApp messaging. And I tell my partners and the clients, especially in the political space, and also the companies which have stakeholders in the rural areas, that hang on. While there are many who use smartphones, there are also those who are non-smartphone users, but they are using a phone nonetheless. They're using a digital device nonetheless. And so you have to have that SMS option for them. You have to have that IVRS option for them. It is extremely fascinating. Post-COVID, I see many newer things happening. Digital is going to be the new darling of all of us. And thanks to the awareness in the rural areas, I think we are in for some fascinating moments ahead.
There is a question now. Let me answer this. I will be joining. This is from Saloni Sharma. I will be joining the course of PR and corporate communication in UPS. So I just wanted to ask, to what extent will the practical application of this course will be available to the students? As ma'am said, practical knowledge holds a great deal of importance in today's digital time and age. Well, ma'am is already on board. She is on our board of studies, and she and Dr. Navneet are going to spend quality. I have already taken their consent to be, partners with us, and many more, leading lights from the PR and communication industry are going to join us, both as faculty and also as distinct faculty. They will be there. You will rest assured, you will get practical training. Now, Mitu, this is a question from Purnima Rawat. As new sports leagues are emerging, what are the challenges PR face in digital area while promoting a fresh sport? If you can be quick, because we have just 10 minutes left.
Actually, I don't see them facing a challenge. Honestly, I really feel that it's a great opportunity. Imagine such a league would have come 10 years ago. They wouldn't have had these opportunity to promote themselves. So, sorry? Yeah, so I really believe that in today's day and age, because of digital platform, it's actually become possible to promote something which was not at all existing and then create a brand out of it. IPL is one great example. So honestly, I don't really see any challenge.
Rohan, Raj is asking, is feedback or ratings and reviews essential for reputation and leadership qualities required for event management? Mitu?
Of course, feedback is highly essential for reputation. Like I said, your ratings and rankings that are there on all the social platforms or all the review platforms, they all contribute to whether people want to associate with you or not. So they are very, very important. Please pay attention to them.
Specific question for you, Mitu.
Yes.
Rakesh Priyadarshi, what are the chances of a career in agri-corporate?
High chances is in
agriculture, I think. Agriculture.
Yeah. Definitely, no, because like Dr. Anand talked about nowadays, agri-based organizations, whether agri-tech or regular agri or seed-like companies like say Monsanto and all that, all of them are struggling with their reputation, and all of them will need adept PR professionals. So
Navneet, how public relation can help in NGO? Is helpful
Absolutely.
in an NGO.
From fund generation to articulating your issues to taking the advocacy messages to the policymakers to the media. I think PR is very, very integral to what NGO does, because you're trying very hard to bring about change. That change has to be through attitude, through policy, through behavior, and communication will always be integral. And therefore, you need a PR agency like Grey Matters Communications.
You have...
on a lighter note, yeah.
Then there is a question, how can we become a good PR working for political organization? Shubham Paul, what kind of attitude we should keep in ourselves? Shubham Paul Chaudhary from West Bengal. Good PR working for political organization. West Bengal elections are coming. Navneet?
Yeah. I mean, West Bengal is going to be the hotbed. Bihar and West Bengal, I think, is going to be the hotbed to politics. I think you should understand so there are two very distinct components that you must understand. The campaign management, and because he's from West Bengal, I can imagine that he would be wanting to look at that as an opportunity. The campaign management as well as the digital medium to connect. Now, there are going to be digital rallies and whatnot going ahead. But mind you, all this, I mean, you may assume that you can do it, but a finesse that you get through a course, through a professional course, cannot substitute for anything else. A great opportunity in terms of political PR. I have been doing it. I had my PhD in political communication. And I can tell you it's very, very fascinating. A lot of opportunities.
There is a question from Ria Saha. If someone wants to pursue career in public relation, what he or she should do after graduation degree in mass communication and journalism?
Go to a place like UPES, where you have India's topmost educator and one of the finest media professionals, Professor KG Suresh, as director and dean. And I'm sure you are bound to get that good.
And of course, very eminent, leading lights of the industry like Mitu and Navneet, who are going to be teaching there. Any probability, this is Shubha, any probability of digital events which can give good returns?
Yes, of course they can give good returns. Coincidentally, a webinar like this is for the benefit of students. What we have done is we've kept webinars like this free for and open for everyone.
Absolutely. Yes.
But a lot of webinars are paid webinars where people have to actually pay money to attend. So there are ways of generating revenues out of digital events as well. And that's, at least for the next 6 years, that's going to be the way of life. So people will come up with even better and more creative ways of earning money.
There is Rekha Ghodagiri. This is the last question I am taking. I too agree with you that ratings and reviews are essential. Many corporate companies manipulate these two. How far these are reliable? This, I think, is for Navneet. Rating and reviews. How far are these reliable?
That's very important, but one has to be very, very careful about the kind of organization that one is opting for. I think there is this fashion to go for awards. Buying awards has become a favorite pastime for many of us, but I think we should refrain. The more enduring value you can bring about through a through a nuanced PR campaign rather than buying an award. One can make out it's a bought award, doesn't hold much value in the real world.
Thank you, Navneet. I mean, I wish we could take up so many more questions are coming, and that is only an indication of how great both of you have contributed, because you have evoked so many questions in the minds of the younger generation. So that's why they are asking questions in such a big way. Quickly, because my IT team has given me just 5 minutes to wind up, and the messages are coming. So last comments from you, Dr. Navneet.
I think I'm very excited to see the kind of curriculum and the module that you have designed, the emphasis on modern infrastructure, focus on things like artificial intelligence. I think that rigor would not have been possible in a media school had it not been for somebody who's as accomplished as you. You come with a legacy of very credible experience across various platforms, and that makes it gives me confidence. Whenever I go out, I teach, and when I interact with students, I find that there is something which is lacking, either the academic rigor or the mix or the connect with the real world. I think you bring in that both. I'm very excited to be participating in this, and I wish all those who are here a very great future, and wish UPES team all the very best. And always you have my commitment to assist whenever you want us.
Thank you, Navneet. As a dedicated PR professional and as a friend, you have always been very supportive of all our initiatives in the past. I look forward to your continued support in the future also. And of course, the lady must have the last word and the last laugh. So, Mitu, if you can share your final thoughts with the students who are still with us.
Sure. Like Dr. Navneet Anand mentioned that, institute like UPES and School of Modern Media is offering great quality content, courses with practical exposure. So that's a brilliant opportunity that you have. However, at the same time, like they say, you can get the horse to the well, but you can't drink water on its behalf, right? So a lot has to be done by you. So please take maximum advantage of such opportunities. Invest time and effort in making sure that you solidify or you make your base so strong and solid through education, through the right education, that when you enter the corporate world, your academic understanding of the concept, when it marries with a practical exposure, actually gives you some fantastic business outcome than you trying to struggle and figuring out, what do I do and how do I manage my career. So then if you do this, that choose the right institute, have the right attitude, you will be then having a career, not just a job.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mitu, for those insightful thoughts. And really a brilliant session. 90 minutes, we discussed almost all aspects of public relation, corporate communication. Of course, we can go on and on with such an eminent panel and with students who are continuing to be with us. But then all good things must come to an end. But I can assure you that this is the first in the series of such webinars. As we see more of online teaching, we can expect more sessions from eminent dignitaries like Mitu and Dr. Navneet for their contribution. Thank you so much, and thank you, dear students. We look forward to having you as our students in the coming academic session. And of course, keep following UPES on Twitter, Facebook, and of course, these eminent personalities are also on all social media. We are all available on Twitter, on FB, on LinkedIn. You can follow all of us, and you can Google us and look at our work, and certainly you can learn a couple of tips from there. Wish you all the best and look forward to more such sessions. And here is once again wishing you all the very best for your future. Thank you, Dr. Navneet, and thank you, Mitu, for all the support. Thank you so much. It was a delight having both of you. Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. The best.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.